Kenny Cunningham, good morning to you. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, lads.
So Shane Long is out, and Mick says it's because he's just not getting any game time. But Jeff Hendrick is in, and Jeff Hendrick's not getting any game time either. So is it just that he doesn't really fancy Shane Long, do you think?
No, I don't think it's as simple as that, Jerry. I think it's always been a factor. I think you look at a multitude of things as a manager when you're putting your kind of squad together. And in terms of who's getting regular kind of first-team football, I think it's a factor, a number of one factors, which comes into your thinking when you make a decision. I also think, Jerry, like every player is different. In my experience, I always found that maybe some players who haven't had a number of games can cope better than others. You know, others need that run of games, that bit of match fitness to really sharpen up the games, and others not so much. So, I haven't quite heard Mick. I know you rolled the Mick's interview there, but generally speaking, I don't think it's a case of you're not playing, you're not in. I think it's a case of if you're not playing, it's not going to help you, and it's going to come into the decision making. And certainly players who are playing regularly and are really sharp in terms of match fitness will have an edge over others. But I think it's a number of factors which Mick will take into consideration.
Yeah, like, you know, you think famously of how Mick would have helped Jason McAteer through his career when things weren't going well at club level for him. He would have put him in the team, and in fairness, McAteer rewarded him. There's the Holland game, for example. I think that's in the midst of his worst time at Blackburn. It feels a little bit like Shane Long is somebody you want to put in the squad, have a chat with, get to see, say, come on, you're going to be good again, you're going to be great, we've got a long campaign here, we need you to get back in that team. Like, is it not better to have him in than stewing at home, annoyed, watching the game on telly going, what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Mick's had a private conversation with Shane over the phone. I'm not too sure, but every one of those spots in the squad, Jerry, is important. I don't think it's a case where, let's kind of bring him in, I'm not going to use him, but, I'll just bring him in as part of it. We'll have a chat, he can train, but he really is not going to play. I mean, got some huge games coming up, and everyone in that squad of 23 may be asked to play their part. So for whatever reason, if things change during the course of the week when the players come together, Mick's got to be confident if he asks any one of those players to step into the team, even albeit for a cameo role for 10-15 minutes, he's got to be sure that those players are right, and he's confident in their ability to come in and make an impact. And probably at the moment, the simple matter is he probably doesn't feel that's the case with Shane. And Mick has got options there. There was a consensus some time ago, Jer, we've no centre forward, where the goal's coming from, we've very little options up front. Well, I'm not as pessimistic as a lot of people now when I look at our kind of front line. David McGoldrick's has been in a reasonably rich vein of form. I know he didn't start the weekend. Callum Robinson, for me, is a player who's really mature and has done over the past kind of 6 months to a year. I'm a huge fan of his, and I'll be very surprised if he doesn't start. I think he's got a wonderful all-round game. In fact, he could be our best all-round forward. He can play anywhere across the front line. And obviously we've got the likes of Troy Parra, Adam Ida kind of banging on the door as well. So Mick's looking at those players in terms of their development as well. So, yeah, I mean, I have been a big fan of Shane over the years in terms of the qualities that he has. But I must admit, I certainly wouldn't be panicking by the fact that he has been left out of the squad. For me, it's not a big issue.
It's interesting that Mick McCarthy talks about the Brighton and Hove Albion system there, Kenny, isn't it? That he kind of uses that as a reason why it doesn't matter that Shane Duffy might not be in this team, because they have their system and we have our system. And I do wonder if that's a little bit of an enlightenment in terms of why he perhaps doesn't fancy Matt Doherty as much as some people think, because Wolves have their system and it's different to the Republic of Ireland system.
Yeah, you're right. It probably comes back to what I've said, Owen, in terms of what Mick kind of computes in when he makes a decision in terms of not only bringing people into the squad, but in terms of if they're actually going to play. And obviously the individual characteristics and the individual qualities, footballing qualities of each player. And it's a decent point that you make, Mac, in terms of playing that wing-back role. We don't play that particular way. I think Matt's just unfortunate, just in terms of the quality that he has in front of him, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at Enda Stevens at the week, and I watched the Sheffield United-Chelsea game. In second half, Enda Stevens was the best player on the pitch, bar none. He was absolutely outstanding. So, yeah, I take your point. The back three as opposed to the back four. Obviously, Graham Power, it's difficult to get inside his head in terms of what he's thinking, why Shane's been left out of the team. But like I said before, I think in terms of leaving players, I always found Mick not so much loyal, but pretty much constant in terms of our team. I remember playing, and if the team was playing well, say September we won, team played well, everybody's solid. Pretty much regardless what happened to those individual players in the intervening period when we came back together, say that was maybe 3-4 weeks, lads, before the next international arrived. Maybe you played 3 or 4 league games in between. There was players maybe who wouldn't have played an awful lot of games, maybe didn't play any and came back into the squad. Generally you played. If you put it out there for Mick and you played well, he stuck with you. I think it's a little bit different when the squad goes away and comes back together 3 or 4 months. There's a big gap in between the squad comes back together, and then players haven't played in that intervening period of time. I think that's slightly different. When the games are coming thick and fast, which they will do over the next couple of months, I think by and large, when players come into the team and play well, I think they'll stay in the team. That's why I feel as if the team which plays against Switzerland, bar injury, which will be pretty much a replica of the team. Certainly they played against Georgia, which is probably the most relevant game, take away the Gibraltar game in between.
Yeah.
I think it'll be pretty much the same, because by and large for me, Mick pretty much sticks with what he trusts, and certainly with players who actually put in performances for him regularly. So for me, it's pretty much the same team. That team hopefully continues to play and perform. But for me, pretty much the same players pick themselves going forward.
The issue about Long, I suppose, is that Jeff Hendrick has played almost no football either. Did get a minutes in the League Cup, which Shane Long didn't. But Jeff Hendrick's going to be in the team. Shane Long's not even in the squad, not even on the bench. Like, I know you're saying Shane Long in and of itself, not that big a deal for you, but it just seems like there's one standard for Jeff Hendrick and there's a different standard for Shane Long. And actually, Mick McCarthy doesn't hold that you need to be playing for your club thing at all, which is what his answer was about Shane Long. For whatever reason, he's decided that he wants to go with the young lad from Luton as opposed to Shane Long. And that's fine, that's your choice as a manager, but don't tell us it's actually about the fact that he's not playing, because Jeff Hendrick's not playing and he's going to be in your team.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but then again, in reality, would you really expect Mick to come out and say, look, Shane's not in the squad, I don't fancy him? Just no. I think that's a little bit disrespectful. You're saying disrespectful not putting Shane in the squad.
Well, it's just not being consistent. Sorry, I should.
Fancy him, never have. I actually think that's a little bit disrespectful to the player. I think he's earned a little bit more respect than that, Shane. So if you're thinking it logically, actually, good managers wouldn't throw that out there. They maybe try and cage you a little bit in terms of...
Yeah, but cage in a way that doesn't make you look like a hypocrite.
You've got to see through it. I mean, you're getting a little bit upset there, Jared. I don't know why you are, like, you know what I mean?
Well, because it's not true. It's not the truth. He's not telling us the truth, Kenny. He's like, look, it's really important for me...
What manager stands up in front of the camera and tells the truth 100% of the time? They have responsibilities to the dressing room, every single player.
Well, let me ask you what the players think. So, the players hear this, right? That you need to be playing for your team, and Jeff Hendrick starts the game. So they then know Mick's not telling the truth.
The players know it helps. Players aren't idiots. Players know when they're playing regularly for the football clubs in between international games, it's going to strengthen their case for inclusion. Players know if they're not playing regularly for the football clubs, it's going to make it a little bit harder. That's not always the case. And like I said, other players are different. Some players can cope with that and no football. Some players are just more important than others. And at this moment, Jeff Hendrick, for me, and you're asking me to tell the truth, is a far more integral part to this team than Shane Long. Is great as Shane Long has been for Ireland over the years. At this moment in time, with Switzerland, the games we have coming forward, Jeff Hendrick is a key integral part of this team. For me, Jeff plays. He turns up and physically he's fit, regardless of many games he's played for the start of the season. He's the first name on my team sheet, regardless he's got no minutes under his belt this season. He's that important to us.
That's fair enough. And that's, like... I know Mick obviously not going to say that, but like, hostage is a fortune for other players, like, and being consistent in your approach. Sure, everybody understands there's a hierarchy. That's fair enough. I should have pointed out, sorry, James Collins is 28 as well. It's not like he's coming up from Stephen Kenny's under-21 squad either.
I think the kind of age thing, like with Shane, maybe is overplayed a little bit. Again, I think that comes into it. The age is such an experienced player. If maybe there's a lack of experience within the squad, if you're going into these key games and you're looking around the squad, think, it's a very young squad, lads who haven't been down the road, it's not the most battle-hardened of teams. I think then you look at Shane Long in terms of whether you bring him into the squad or not and think, you know what, I'm going to bring Shane in. His experience, maybe his bit of calmness, younger players will look up to him. But again, I don't think that's a factor. There's enough experience around the squad without Shane there. I don't think that's an experience. That's an argument for bringing him in. I certainly wouldn't say the argument for, look, he's been a great player for us. He's great to have around him. Sure he is, Shane. He strikes me as very good in his dressing room amongst the players. Very good team player as well. But even that, I don't think is a strong enough reason to bring him into the squad. It's tough on Shane. He's been great for us. I wouldn't say it's the end of his international career. Mick said it there. Get back playing, get minutes under your belt. That'll strengthen your claim, and I think it will. But yeah, I think it is probably fair to say, Ger, going forward, and when you read between the lines with Mick, you always have to, with managers, still I feel as if he looks at McGoldrick, Sean McGuire, and Callum Robinson for me is a player who's going to come in, and when he comes into the team for me, he's going to stay in the team, and he might be our number 9 going forward. Callum Robinson, he may play in a wide area against Switzerland this week, but for me going forward, like I say, for me he's the most talented striker, probably number 9 that we have in the squad. So for me, I'm actually a little bit excited about seeing him starting the game against Switzerland midweek. And the issues around Shane for me are like very minor, and I wouldn't say trivial, but I really don't think it's the most important issue going forward, certainly over the next couple of days.
There's obviously been a fallout in the Swiss camp, Kenny, between the manager and Xherdan Shaqiri. How much hope does that give you ahead of Thursday night?
Is it a given that he's not going to play? Owen, has he travelled with the squad?
No.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, basically he's not travelled. He said that the relationship, the manager himself has said the relationship could be better.
Yeah. Well, again, you're talking about not speaking the truth. Well, there's a player not speaking the truth, because we can all read between the lines there in terms of what the player's saying. He should really be coming out and saying, I can't stand the manager. You know, me and him, we're not going to. I can't stand to see the side of him. That's basically what it sounds like. You don't walk away from international football and your teammates and the player that he has been because we don't quite get on. I mean, that's always been the case, players, managers. So I think it is a help. You could argue the opposite, Owen, in terms of, pull the whole squad together kind of siege mentality, but he's been a key player for them. We all know about him. I don't have to tell you about his individual qualities. Very clever operator. He's a match winner, free kick specialist, the whole shebang. So I think that actually does go in our favour. They're a very well organised side. Yeah, difficult to beat. But I'm quietly optimistic, like I said. When I look at our squad, and I like what I've seen under Mick during the time he's been there. I like the body language of the players. A little bit concerned obviously against Denmark. A little bit open, a little bit loose defensively in terms of maybe Denmark opened us up. And Switzerland will play the same in terms of working players into the pockets and a little clever combination play. So we'll have to be ready for that, and we'll have to defend a little bit better collectively than we did against Denmark. But I certainly think we have players in forward areas of the pitch, the likes of James McLean, Callum Robinson in particular, Callum O'Dowd I'd mentioned as well, his pace off the bench. Ronan Course, I'm a big fan as well. And Judge, I mean, I'm rattling players off here. I'm getting excited talking about these players. These players, individual players, have real individual quality for me, so I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, we'll preview the game in a bit more detail before kick-off. Kenny, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us this morning.
Nice one, lads.
Kenny Cunningham giving us some thoughts on a little bit of the fallout from yesterday's press conference. Obviously, what are we, two days out from proper full preview of the game, a game you can hear live on the Off the Ball show on News Talk.